If you look at it, Iran goes into Yemen. They start firing rockets at Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has to protect themselves, Chuck. But it's 1 million jobs and probably more.
The United States Senate pushes back as President Donald Trump defends billions of dollars in arms sales to Saudi Arabia. Hello, I'm Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. It was back in 2017 when U.S. President Donald Trump announced a $110 billion arms package to Saudi Arabia. Then this May, Trump announced an $8 billion arms deal without congressional approval to send weapons to Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Jordan. In a sharp bipartisan rebuke, the U.S. Senate voted last week to block that sale. For more, we turn now to CGTN's Owen Fairclough, who's in our newsroom. So, Owen, why the move by the Senate, and will it succeed?
And quite simply, concern and mounting concern here in the United States about human rights and Saudi Arabia, perhaps most notoriously embodied by the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi, a dissident journalist assassinated on the orders of the Saudi government. That was the conclusion of the United Nations and the conclusion of leading Western nations, including the United States Congress, which is now united in opposition against doing more business, particularly more arms business with Saudi Arabia. The problem, though, is that this clashes with the Trump administration's Middle East policy, founded generally on forging a close alliance between Israel and a growing alliance with Sunni-led countries in the Gulf like Saudi Arabia, uniting against Iran. Now, Congress has blocked those arms sales announced by the Trump administration, doing its bit to try and put a spanner in the works of that ever closer relationship between the United States and Saudi Arabia. There is some discussion now as to whether President Trump can now invoke emergency powers, the kind of powers that the US has invoked in the past to help countries like Israel when it's gone to war, to see if it can essentially push those arms sales through. So we're seeing now a power struggle between the US Senate and the White House over what the Trump administration considers a critical relationship with the Gulf states.
Right. Oh, now the U.S. Congress is not alone in seeking to limit arms sales. The British government announced that it's banning all new sales to the Saudi Arabian-led military coalition in Yemen, and that follows a court decision, a court defeat in Britain. What's behind that decision?
Well, the Khashoggi assassination certainly didn't help and certainly galvanized public opinion in the United Kingdom as well against Saudi Arabia. There's perhaps here a much more clear-cut breach of international law for the Brits. They simply consider that Saudi Arabia has been using weapons bought from the United Kingdom in Yemen's civil war and consider that a violation of international law. So that's one reason. The UK does have deep historic ties with Saudi Arabia, which has given it historically the edge in weapons sales, although the United States now accounts for more than half of Saudi Arabia's arms imports. But the UK is still an extremely important trading partner for Saudi Arabia. And yet note that the UK government has banned new arms exports to Saudi Arabia. Defence contractors in the United Kingdom have been able to negotiate some wiggle room, which means they can continue to service existing contracts for weapons with the Saudi government.